company, which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectations of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not the guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Prashant Shetty, co-founder of Easy Trip Planners Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Today on the call, I'm joined by Mr. Ashish Bansal, our Chief Financial Officer, and Orient Capital, our investor relationship partners. We have uploaded our updated investor deck on the stock exchange and company website. I hope everybody had an opportunity to go through the same. Structure of my remark would be, I would be sharing briefly overview about the current industry scenario for the quarter gone by and the present situation, followed by operational and financial performances for Q1 of FY22. Post that, we will open up the floor for Q&A. If we speak on quarter one, the whole nation went through a disruption caused due to devastating second wave of COVID-19. The second wave has affected nearly 1.5 months of quarter one, affecting the tourism sectors with intermittent lockdown and travel restrictions. This has affected our overall gross bookings for the quarter. We used this time to also help our fellow nations as much as we could. The promoter family in personal capacity imported 560 oxygen cylinders worth approx 3.5 crores and distributed amongst 20 plus NGOs. We distributed 87,000 meal packets outside the hospitals to patients and their relatives waiting for their turn to get killed. We are glad to be of some help to people in such difficult times. The impact on the industry was lower side compared to quarter one of FY21 when all India lockdown was imposed for longer duration of time. However, even during the second wave, the travel restrictions have kept the gross booking for the quarter on a sluggish side. We have been noticing a month-on-month increase in booking post February and March 2021, but had seen a sudden drop since mid-April, which continued till the end of May on the account of lockdowns and restrictions, and again started picking up from mid-June 2021. Currently also, we have been witnessing a sharp surge in our booking volumes on month-on-month basis. And it has been increasing from June to July and July to whatever period in August we have seen. There are multiple reasons for increasing in bookings. First, revenge travel is one of the major reasons where we are seeing more travelers now opting to travel as and when they get a chance to go out. Also, fully vaccinated people have started to step out and travel and have gained confidence, which was the biggest barrier previously. Lastly, we have been following the trends of other countries and have observed that as population gets vaccinated, the travel industry sees a sharp sign of recovery and in fact even go beyond pre-COVID levels. We believe the same will be the case with India and hence we are observing an uptick on month-to-month basis. We believe there's a huge amount of pent-up demand for travel and tourism sector post-vaccination drive. And people are waiting to go out on traveling on holidays. Once the situation normalizes and is under control, we anticipate that there's huge opportunity lying ahead to grab market share and grow exponentially. Let me speak about our performance and highlights for the quarter. Despite the challenges, lower bookings, travel restrictions, we have been able to sustain and grow our profitability in quarter one. We have been very conscious on our cost control measures and we have taken multiple initiatives over the last year to increase our efficiency. We believe as we achieve scale and are able to get to pre-COVID levels or even grow thereafterwards, a lot of these expenses will be operating leverages are likely to play out, increasing our margins and profitability even further. We are doing multiple tie-ups with brands like Culprit to sell each other's products and leverage brand strength for both the parties. We have also been engaged with multiple banks and e-wallet companies to provide additional benefits to customers and engaging them and bringing stickiness to our portfolio. We also launched a free refund medical policy on all domestic air tickets, where in case of medical issues, customers will get complete refund in amount, including the money deducted by the airline. Passengers can opt for this policy at no additional charges. We have introduced this extraordinary offer in these tough times to boost travel confidence and revive travel industry. Let me speak on financial and operational performances of Q1. Our gross booking revenue for Q1 stood at 357 crores as compared to 987 crores a quarter before. We would have a higher GBR and volumes for this quarter if there were no COVID wave 2. But we are seeing things normalizing and bookings are increasing on month-to-month, in fact, on day-to-day basis. To give you a comparative, our July month gross booking revenue touched 225 crores, which itself is 63% of entire Q1. And we believe August month to be even better than July month. This is the kind of uptick we are seeing. In air segment, as compared to 3.2 lakhs in quarter 1 of FY21. In non-air segments, which is hotel, bus, trains, and other segments, our overall transactions stood at 1.95 lakhs as compared to 2.55 lakhs. We have almost touched 80% of our booking volumes in non-air segments in the first quarter itself. We are growing and building strength to strength in our non-air segments and see huge growth in these segments going forward. Our strategy to cross-sell our various products to customers is playing out very well. We are also very conscious on cost front and hence are able to achieve profitability even in the worst times. Our overall cost reduction, building efficiency with scale, and creating synergies among segments has helped us maintain and grow our profits. We have been able to reduce our marketing and sales promotion cost by 51% as compared to a previous quarter. Our employee expenses and other expenses have also reduced by 28% and 53% respectively when you compare quarter 1 with quarter 4 of last year. Our EBITDA stood at 21.2 crores as compared to 3.7 crores of quarter 1 of FY21. Similarly, EBITDA margin for this quarter stood at 61% as compared to 31% of quarter 1 of FY21. Our profit after tax for this particular quarter stands at 15 crores as compared to 2.8 crores of quarter 1 of FY21, where our PAT margin stood strong at 44.4%. With this, I will open up the floor for the discussion.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Manish Ostwal from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, Manish.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Your comment about the travel habits after the vaccination, we show in the newspaper, there is one is the revenge travel, the second is the travel habits also changing. People are now staying more than pre-COVID level in terms of staying at resort or something of that sort. So can you comment on the spends per customer has increased, what percentage compared to pre-COVID level? That is the one question. The second question is in terms of demand recovery from the June onwards. So how has been the recovery in terms of gross booking value versus the March 2021 level? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the question. Your question number one, which is how are we seeing customer trends shape up post during the recovery process? So absolutely, you've said it absolutely right. The length of the stay has definitely increased by a lot. Customers are taking their time out whenever they travel. The luxury purchases have increased. We see kind of a lot many more bookings happening for 4-star and 5-star, and even for the business class travel. Another trend which we are seeing is that we see people, and I think this could be a short-term trend rather than a long-term trend, but we are seeing people make one-way bookings much more than what it was pre-COVID numbers. As people are not very sure of when are they going to travel back, we are seeing a lot of one-way bookings which are happening. And also, since a lot of international destinations are curtailed, we are seeing a lot of domestic travel is happening to the hidden locations where people may not have traveled before. These are the trends which we are seeing. The other question which you asked, I'm sorry, I actually forgot the other question.
So other question was related to this travel habits.
Travel habits is something which I think I've covered. People are our travel advisory is also to ensure that every safety protocol is followed. People follow wearing the mask, sanitizing themselves, and keeping the distance. And I think that's the protocol which is probably there for some time.
And the second question was how the demand trend versus the March 2021 to current levels. To March 2021, what was the gross booking value on a monthly basis, and what is the current rate in the August 2021? That was the question.
For July, I have shared. So for the entire quarter one of FY21, which is the most affected quarter for the lockdown, which is quarter one of FY21, the entire booking volumes were somewhere around 98 crores. And however, for this particular quarter, for which we are sharing results, the quarter one of FY22, the overall gross booking revenues were 356 crores. And as I mentioned earlier, in the month of July itself, which is basically the part of second quarter, for the month of July, to give you an idea of how the number of bookings are increasing, for July of 2021, we are seeing the GVR cross 225 crores, which is around 63% of the entire quarter. And we believe for whatever we have seen of August, the numbers are only increasing. So we are very hopeful for what is there to come.
Okay, and lastly, one small question. What is your comment on the urban hotels demand recovery? What percentage of recovery you are seeing in urban places, basically?
So you're absolutely right. The question is very valid. The urban hotel demand recovery is slightly slower than the leisure destinations. If we talk about the hills, if we talk about even the SME destinations where there is a lot of corporate travel for the SME purposes, the urban recovery is slightly on the lower side, but it is getting there. We are seeing a good response even in the urban locations now.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering my question. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants to ask a question, please press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Saurabh Shah from Om Fund Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hello. Congratulations on a good set of numbers, sir. I have two questions. Firstly, in the earlier comments, you mentioned that you have an insurance at no additional cost for the travel passengers, which provides them with full refund of their money. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So does that mean that we wouldn't be charging any cancellation cost, and in the next 2 years these won't come in the books of revenues?
That is not correct.
Okay.
The reason the way we have created this service is done very well thought of. We have an underwriter, a bank who's underwriting these services for us, and whatever our charges are, the bank will provide to us, and whatever deductions it is made from the customer, the bank will provide to the customer. So our revenues will not be hit.
Okay, so basically, you will get your cancellation costs from the bank if any customer cancels the ticket or, for legitimate reasons.
That is correct.
Okay. And secondly, can you give me the breakup in terms of revenue from air, hotel booking, bus bookings currently?
Those are part of the presentation. I do not have those numbers on top of my head, but it's part of our balance sheet. You may have a look over there.
I guess you do have the number of transactions over there, but in terms of revenues, it's not there in the presentation. If you can just help me out.
It's not in the presentation, you are correct, but it is there in the balance sheets which we have basically uploaded.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Kacholia from Lucky Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon to the team. And my question is basically related to the sustainability of our margins, given the fact that we've been kind of negotiating better deals with the airlines in difficult times. How sustainable do you think these margins are that we are currently operating at?
So, Ashish, the deals have been going on since last 1 year and I think 5 quarters. We have been seeing the same numbers which we have presented. There is no substantial change in the deal which we have from the airline side. And we will look forward for this number becoming the status quo. However, these actually started at the time of pandemic. So one cannot be sure of when the airlines will call upon renegotiating the terms. But as of now, these deals are continuing to exist. But the bigger picture or the important part, Ashish, over here is that we have attained a lot of efficiencies during the last 1.5 years of the COVID time, and because of which we have been able to cut our costings also down. So those gains will definitely continue, and we believe that even if the negotiation happens, will probably be somewhere in the middle in the future.
So what the risk to our margins is a couple of 100 basis points in terms of whenever these pricing go back to normal?
So to be honest, these are all matter of speculation. As you can see, even for our competitors, the margins have increased even for them as well. But our company has been profitable even prior to these increments, while our competitors were in losses, and in fact even are in losses even after these increments. So to be honest, it's very difficult for us to comment if at all the terms will change in the future, for that matter.
And what is the visibility of these kind of arrangements? Typically, these go on from month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year. How does it work?
I'm sorry, I couldn't. Your voice wasn't very audible, Ashish.
Yeah, just to understand, what is the tenure of these kind of agreements? Is it on a month-to-month basis, quarter to quarter?
So some of them are basically on yearly basis, and a part of it is on yearly basis, which is basically and a couple of them could be quarterly linked, and it also depends on various airlines from an airline to an airline. However, we also have given them advanced deposits, and those deposits are actually with them, and because of those deposits, we are getting additional percentage from the airline.
Got it. Thank you very much. All the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to ask a question, please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Tushar Sarda from Athena Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to understand there is an item, other income. If you can explain that. I think in the last call you said that it pertains to some cancellation charges which you keep for 2 years. But the amount in this quarter is very high, 12 crores. So, what is the amount that we expect regularly as this item? I mean, if it's going to be recurring, what is the sense that one should expect this amount to be?
So I answered this question pretty much during the last call, and I'm happy to answer it again. There are 2 components in the other income. One is basically coming from the UAC, which is unclaimed credit, and the other one is basically the financial related. The financial related, we do believe that is basically the correct other income, but the amount which is coming from the UAC we believe that should be part of our revenue from operations. However, because of the auditing purposes, we have to show it in the other income. Now, basically, there is some amount which basically we get 2 years delayed as per our policy. We give customers 2 years as an option to make claim for their refund, while our competitors usually give 3 months time to make claim for the refunds. Now, because our policy is better consumer policy, we have given them 2 years time. There is certain part of our revenue which remains in our book as a liability, and that liability turns to revenues 2 years later. So that is why the amount which you are seeing right now, that amount has nothing to do with how we are performing in this particular quarter. That amount came from our books. That money was sitting in our books as a liability, and it shifted to becoming the revenue. In fact, that amount is linked to what our bookings were 2 years in the past, and hence it is very much, they're very much, you can predict them of how these numbers would look like. So if you look at the GMV of 2 years before for that particular quarter, this number should be in lines of 0.7 to 0.8% of what the GMVs were 2 years back in the same quarter. I hope that answers your query.
So 0.7 to 0.8% is what we should expect 2 years later. Is that how I take it on a recurring basis?
That is correct.
Okay. My second question is, do you give breakup of your revenues vertical-wise, airline, hotels, and
We do provide breakup for our revenues for hotels, airlines, bus, train, everything. These are part of our balance sheets. You may have a look.
not on a quarterly basis?
No, it's on the quarterly basis. They are part of our quarterly results.
I can't find them. If you can just guide me to which slide it is on.
Ashish,
Yeah, it has been reported in segment reporting in financial, which has been submitted.
Okay. Not in the presentation. Okay, I'll have a look at it.
we didn't put it as a part of the presentation, but it's there in the financial.
Okay. Thank you. I'll just have a look at it.
Sure. However, there is a very clear trend, just to complete this thought process, there's a very clear trend. If you can see the number of transactions which are happening on our website, which are non-air driven, which is hotel, bus, trains and everything otherwise, the number of transactions have increased dramatically. For the entire year of FY21, it was 2.55 lakhs. But for the quarter which was severely hit by COVID, for that quarter itself, it was at 1.95 lakhs, right? Which was almost at 75-80% of the entire year. So this is how you could probably see that our cross-selling, play out is working out very well.
Yeah, but your revenue, hotel package revenue is negative as per the segment information. Is that right?
Correct. Well, basically, this is to do with we are operating our hotel at a break-even cost right now to increase our market share. So the negative amount is only a few lakhs.
So you are actually giving money out for people to book hotels, is that?
If you see, it's only a 2-3 lakh amount, right? It's not a huge amount, so it's almost at a break-even amount.
2.7 million, so 27 lakhs.
Okay, yeah. So basically, it's if you check for the others as well, and this basically amounts. Our hotel model is very different. We get very less commission in our hotel model, but we have very few operational expenses as well. Our hotel model is where we do not work directly with the hotels. We have 23 aggregators, and we get 15% commission from the aggregators. The average commission is 12%. We get around 12% commission from the aggregator, and we are passing on majority of that as a discount to the customers right now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for answering the questions.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment. Please go ahead.
There are two questions. Today, bulk of your revenues is coming from the air passenger side. So if you could tell us, let's say 3 years from now, how this mix should look like? What should be non-air passenger revenue as a percentage of your total revenue?
Sure. Well, to be honest, since our air itself is growing leaps and bounds, if you see from FY18 till FY20, our air itself grew at 45% year on year. it is slightly hard to predict of what this percentage would look like, but I could tell you what our endeavor is. We have started focusing extremely heavily on the non-air side. We see that as a great opportunity to grow the business. Besides the growth in the air segment, we have started focusing over there, and that is why you can see there is a good amount of increase in number of transactions which are happening on non-air side. Besides that, we also have plans to grow inorganic in non-air segment. The air segment, we are very well sorted. We are going. I could give you one statistics which will give you comfort on the air, and then I could talk about the non-air part. EaseMarket was able to sell 10.9 lakh air segments, right, for this particular quarter, while the market leaders sold, as per their financials, they sold 24.66 lakh, which is basically that they were able to sell 2.3 times more air segments compared to EaseMarket in this particular quarter. But if you look at the entire year, the market leader was 2.7 times bigger for FY21, and they were 4.2 times bigger in FY20 and 5.6 times bigger in FY19. So clearly giving you the hint that we are inching closer towards them every quarter. So we believe that we are very well sorted on the air side, and we are going for the home run in the next 2 to 3 years. For the non-air side, we definitely have a plan to grow inorganically as well. And there are a couple of companies whom we are considering right now to acquire and provide them the traffic which EaseMarket gets. EaseMarket gets somewhere around 5 lakh or daily visitors every day. So if we were able to provide them such traffic, and the kinds of companies we are looking for are the kinds of companies which EaseMarket itself is, very nimble, very agile, profit-oriented, have very, very high efficiency in the way they run the business, and they are non-air focused. Could be hotel focused, could be bus focused, could be cab focused. Train is something which we are not very, very bullish on, but yes, for these segments we are considering growing inorganically, and we believe on the basis of our organic growth as we are seeing right now, and some inorganic activity, there could be decent amount of shift in the next couple of years.
Okay. My second question is from the profitability angle. So what you mentioned to one of the participants on the UAC side. So first of all, is it fair to assume that what GMV you booked this quarter, 0.7% of that GMV will flow in as other operating income, let's say 2 years from now? So basically, if this quarter is gaining, is this quarter's profitability is gaining from what you sold 2 years back, 2 years from now, hypothetically assuming if your GMV was so 2 years from now, you will book 0.7% of this 355 crore other operating income then, right?
That is correct, but however, there will be some variance because a lot of cancellations are happening during the COVID time, and this amount is directly linked to the cancellation. So, putting that as a caveat, your thought process is correct.
This amount is linked to cancellation.
Correct.
This amount arises because of cancellation purely?
Yes, and that's cancellation because of no-shows, yes.
Okay. So, okay. And other on the cost-based side, so there is a major variations from quarter to quarter. Let's say previous quarter was a 25 crore cost base. This quarter is about 13 to 14 crore cost base. What do you think is a more realistic number on cost base for your type of operation?
See, the thing is, this is a good part about EaseMarket. Being so nimble on the ground, the quarter 4 of last year was a great quarter. We did total GMV of around 900 crores, right? But for this quarter, we did GMV of 350 crores. So obviously, business fell down in this quarter because of COVID wave 2. And good thing is that we have been able to change our expenses also accordingly. Almost in a very quick format, we were able to decrease our marketing expenditures. We were able to decrease our discounting expenditures, and the payment gateway charges decreased just because there were less number of bookings. So hence, I think that there is a very small amount of fixed expenditures this company has, and remaining is all variable on how much of business do we do. And that's a great thing for a business.
And when you report your P&L as per the accounting standard, the discounts is not a part of the P&L, right? What you report in presentation is for a representation purpose, and hence you tend to show discount as your revenue and then as an expense.
That is correct.
Okay. So what
the P&L in the P&L, discount is already part of revenues in operation.
Okay. So what expense that we see is pure operational expense that you incur.
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily. There is some marketing expenditures as well. Marketing expenditures come in the expense part. The discount goes in revenue part.
Yeah, perfect, sir. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Venkat Samala from Tata Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hi, Venkat.
Yeah, Prashant, I just wanted to understand one thing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Venkat, but we cannot hear you. Your voice is sounding from a distance. Can you please check?
Is it better now?
Yes, much better. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to understand is if I look at the revenue from operations as a percentage of gross booking value for Q1, and when I compare with the last quarter, and likewise for discounts, what I observe is that revenue from operations has reduced from 6% to 5%, and likewise the discounts have increased from 3% to around 5%. So just trying to wrap my head around this. I mean, what are the reasons for the same, and how do you expect this to pan out moving forward?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking this question. See, basically, the kind of commission we get from the airline is an addition of revenue from operations and discount to the customers, right? Discount is our prerogative of how much discount do we want to give. So, hence, revenue from operation is actually a derived number. It's not an absolute number. It's a derived number. Had we chosen to give only 2% discount for this particular quarter, our revenue from operations would be 3% higher, right? So that is why it is not very appropriate to compare revenue from operation as a percentage from quarter to quarter. But your question is very valid. Your question could be that why did discount increase for this particular quarter? Can I assume that could be also another question?
Yeah.
All right. So basically, discount is also a part of how some quarters we for example, we ran a couple of offers during the quarter one, because of which discount percentage went up. However, the beautiful part about EaseMyTrip system is, even if we offer more discount to the customers, we do get good percentage back as convenience fee. As you are very well aware, at EaseMyTrip, if you are using a discount coupon, you must pay convenience fees just the way you're paying to the other travel portals. So even if we gave 5% discount to the customers during this particular quarter, we probably would have gotten back 2.5 to 3% back as a convenience fee in this particular quarter. So, it's dependent on how the market conditions are. It's not an absolute amount for our side. And also, it's also a function of the GBR. The GBR itself is very low for this particular quarter.
Right. And how do we expect this to go moving forward into FY22?
See, this is the thing. Being nimble also has a lot of benefits. We are able to generate profit quarter on quarter. But being nimble also has a disadvantage that it's hard to predict of where the next quarter will be. We are actually very much, we keep our ears very close to the ground. And on the basis of how market is reacting, we react very quickly. This is the biggest strength of the company. And to be honest, we would not want to let go of this strength just to be more predictable in nature. However, even then, the discount from the customers probably should subside since the booking volumes are increasing for this particular quarter.
Understood. So as I understand, it's purely a function of market and to what extent we are staying nimble to ensure that we get the gross booking values, whatever is up there for grabs.
You see, one thing you should notice is that it's been 13 and a half years since we are in this business. And in last 13 and a half years, I don't think so we have seen even one quarter where we were in loss. And, COVID is a litmus test for companies like us, right? Even in the first COVID wave, we were profitable. Even in the second COVID wave, we are profitable. So this company is built on extreme resilience. Our cost structures are aligned in such way that it is going to be extremely difficult for us to make ourselves in loss.
Right. I got your point. So another thing which I wanted to check with you is last quarter, I think we had extended around 50 odd crores to the airlines and some of the other partners that we work with, right? So as on today, what would be the total advances which would be extended to these partners, and are they current on whatever payment that they have to, pay back to us?
The assets and the liabilities and the cash flow is something which we will be presenting on half-yearly basis. So that is not part of this presentation. It is not part of the balance sheet as well, which we have uploaded.
Right. No, okay. I get that point. But are they really current on whatever payment that they have to make?
I could not understand your question very well. If your question is the 50 crores advance which we have given, are they still existing or not? I will not be able to answer that because that's a number which we are not presenting in this financial.
Right. No. So we have handed those advances to them, right?
Right.
So yeah. So what I'm trying to understand is, are they paying back to us on time on whatever our expectations are?
They don't have to pay us back. The way it works is it's a reoccurring advance, right? If I have given an X amount of money to an airline, I deplete that money in 5 or 6 days and then I put that money back up again.
Okay. So we are not having any issues that way.
Not fixed advances which are lying with them. It's just that earlier we used to give them money 1 day in advance. Now we are giving them 5 days in advance to get better flows, to get better commissions from them.
Okay. Sure. So then we are not really facing any challenge because we are continuing with that same process, is what I'm understanding.
Absolutely.
Okay. And one last question is, we had signed a deal with Lifestyle, right? So what are our expectations there? I mean, I'm just trying to understand what would be the potential benefits from that tie-up.
So, Venkat, I believe that deal probably came out in the news. However, to put things in perspective, almost every other day we are signing up with one of the other major brands out there, whether it's online or offline. Every other day you can expect EaseMyTrip signing up a deal for cross promotion, which is, they promote us on their user base and we promote them on our user base. This is a great way by which you don't have to pay Google or the Facebook for the marketing effort, which many of our competitors are doing. So Lifestyle is one example. I could give you Culpit is another example. I could give you so many other examples where we are dealing with a very well recognized brand who have millions of customers, and we both are just cross promoting to each other's customers. These are the values by which we are able to grow without spending much on marketing.
Okay. So I understand what they are offering to us. What are we offering to them?
We are offering similarly, like if you are booking an air ticket on EaseMyTrip, you may get a discount coupon on Lifestyle for your further use.
Achha. Okay. Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. My first question is, wanted to understand this employee cost better. So, while you mentioned that overall cost structure is very variable kind of nature, but like for example, quarter to quarter, our cost went down from 6.5 crore to 4.5 crore. So what is exactly the variable component here, or how much of the total employee cost, let's say, is variable?
Great question. Well, you're absolutely right. Employee cost is not something which should vary dramatically on quarter-to-quarter basis. This particular quarter, the reason it went down is because we as a promoter, we reduced our salary starting 1st of April. We reduced our salaries substantially. Since we are in the market, we wanted to be in line, and we reduced our salary from 1st of April, because of which you are seeing a substantial decrease in this particular quarter. However, going forward, we do not see a major cut on employee costs, except as we continue to innovate ourselves and we to do things more automatically. Then and as that happens, there could be some reduction or there could be some increment in employee costs. But you're absolutely right, your point is valid, that the employee cost is something which we consider as a fixed cost and should not vary as much.
Thanks for clarification, sir. And second question is on this 10.9 lakh bookings which we did in this quarter. So how is you mentioned about the GBR run rate. Can you highlight how would this be, this airline booking number like in month of July?
They are in the sync. They are in the sync with GBR numbers.
Okay, so they are mixed change. As you mentioned, there's some recovery in higher value.
So in the July month, our GBR is somewhere close to 225 crores, and the entire GBR for quarter one was 356 crores. So which is somewhere around 60. In the July month itself, we have done 63% of the entire quarter before. And I believe the number of segments will also be in the same.
Sure. That's it from my side, sir. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Madhuchanda Dey from MC Pro. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
You are. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So my question is the way the domestic airline industry is shaping up. There appears to be a kind of a near monopoly of one player. So does that impact the bargaining power of that airline vis-a-vis a player like you when it comes to shelling out the commission?
So the way I am understanding your question is that is OTA going to be relevant? Is that correct?
No, not only relevant. Maybe it will still be relevant, but does it not impact the bargaining power of an OTA? Does it put that particular airline in a unique vantage position whereby they can reduce the commission drastically because they have that kind of a vantage position in the industry now?
So I take the question and I'll answer this in two parts. First part, even one particular airline it has a dominant market share. Why are we still continuing to get the margins which we are? That's the question, and I'll answer it this way. See, basically, there are a lot of leverages and power. There are a lot of leverages companies like us also have. I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about the entire OTA industry. So supposedly, one particular airline starts bulling around and starts reducing their margin, which is not happening. Our margins have only gone up since last 1.5 years, right? But hypothetically, if let's say that something like that happens, our OTAs can also decide to show that airlines in the last bit, right? We can the way we show results is totally in our control. We can promote other airlines on top and change the market share for the entire airline industry itself. And I'm talking from the OTA's perspective. I'm trying to tell you the kind of power OTA has, and this power is vested on OTAs by the customers. And why do we have this kind of power equation going for ourselves? Is because 4 years before, 85% of searches were happening on desktop. Now 87% of EasyMyTrip searches are happening on mobile, either mobile web or other application. Now with this trend, the dependence on OTA has only increased dramatically. Where customers on desktop, it was still relatively okay for you to open 10 tabs and check the prices. On mobile, it is dramatically hard, right? To open up 10 different tabs. And because of this, the dependence on OTAs only increased over the period of time. And this trend is not going to reverse. The mobile dependency is only increasing as we speak. So because of it, there is a very good equation, balanced equation, which has played out. And I believe we are at a very good equilibrium.
I get your point. I mean, you had highlighted it at the time of your IPO also, this particular, factor of searching in the mobile and comparing. I fully get your point. But my question is, suppose if the competitors don't have the capacity. So today you can decide not to play up the monopoly player and give importance to someone else because that someone else still has the capacity. But should the situation arise that, the competitors simply don't have the capacity and the entire capacity almost, the entire capacity belongs to one.
Hypothetical situation. That's a very hypothetical situation. In fact, we see new entrants coming in and grabbing market share. For example, here, they have come in and they are grabbing market share right now. So the question which you're asking is extremely hypothetical of the nature where only one player exists. We do not believe something like that will happen because, for any business to flourish, you cannot have a mere monopoly. So that's not the kind of thing anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Rajamohan Venkataraman, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on a robust set of deliverance in a difficult quarter. You mentioned to gross order value continuing to see resurgence and hit nearly 60% of your whole last quarter revenue at 225 crores for July. Do you think you're on track to cross, say, 3,000 crores of gross order value for this fiscal, leaving the risk of a third wave aside? There would be a momentum which you could gauge. Are we looking at the resumption of that 45-50% yearly growth in gross order values that we used to see in the past?
So, to be honest, yes, we are hopeful for that. Barring the third wave, if it may or may not come, barring the third wave, we are in likelihood of crossing the 3,000 number for the entire year, and we are actually preparing ourselves accordingly. The reason why we are preparing in such way is because we believe because of the vaccination drive which India is going through, even if the third wave comes in, the impact might not be as much as what we saw in the first wave or the second wave. The reasoning is very simple. The best way is to basically see what is happening in the other countries. In countries like UK and Israel, where more than 50% people are vaccinated, the death rate has declined dramatically. And, to be honest, we believe that COVID could become just another flu in the next couple of years, and we are hopeful for that. And that is exactly how we are planning our company for. And there's a good possibility we might see a good number for the entire year, barring there is no big issue related to wave 3.
I understand. Now, next, coming to the non-air side, you indicated to a decent shift in contribution to your overall revenues in the medium term. Broadly, in an objective basis, can you give us as a percentage of your sales, where would we be, say, in the next 5 years from where we are now in the hotel travel segment?
So, as I said earlier, it's going to be hard for us to predict as a percentage because our flight itself is expected to grow, right? We are inching closer to the industry leader every quarter. Now, but to give you an idea, we are extremely focused on hotel, train, but hotel, holidays, bus, and cab services, and we are looking to grow even inorganically, and inorganic growth can change these numbers completely, right? So this is something which has happened with our competitors as well. When they acquired Redbus or when they acquired IBBO, the numbers changes dramatically for them, for the other segment. So something like that could also happen for us in the next couple of quarters or a year. And to be honest, it's going to be very difficult for me to predict of what that number would look like. but we are vested upon increasing our diversity organically and inorganically, but not at the cost of profitability. See, our DNA of our company is extremely different. We have never raised any money. In the last 13 years, we fought 6 deeply funded competitors without raising any money, and we continue to surpass them just on the basis of our profitability. So we understand this business very deeply and very well, and we believe that at the end the cash is the king, and whatever we do in the other segments, we would want to do it profitably. We have an absolute clarity on that thought.
Understand. Finally, if I were to infer on the inorganic part, can we expect something in this fiscal on the non-air side?
It's going to be hard. We are in the phase of, negotiating with them, understanding them. We are speaking to multiple people, but it's going to be hard for me to say any timelines right now. You will hear as it happens.
Anyway, thank you so much and wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants to ask stars. The next question is from the line of Arpit Shah from Stallion Asset. Please go ahead.
Hi, Sanji. Congratulations on good set of numbers. I had just one question. What would be your strategy for the take rate? Like if I see for Indigo for FY21, the take rate for the commission split by them to...
your voice wasn't clear. I wasn't able to hear what you said.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
I just wanted to understand your strategy on the take rate. I was just seeing the Indigo numbers, the commission that they paid to OTA players around 108 or 9 crores, which was about 0.8-0.7% of their total revenue, of the passenger revenues. So what is actually driving our take rate? Because we are around 14.7%. About 6.5% is from airlines and other segments. So how is that component different for us, and how is it different for a player like MakeMyTrip or Yatra, which is giving us an edge on the top line? That's what I want.
So the take rate vary by airline, and even within the airline, they vary by the OTs they're dealing with. Our deal could be drastically different than what they probably are offering to our competitors, for the very same reason where we have offered them some advance deposits on the which. And it's not just the money which they're looking for, right? If I am committing them 10 days advance, 6 days advance of money, they assume that I may be more gravitating towards selling their business so that the float time is lower. Do you understand what I meant, right?
So our advance amount is close to around 50 crores, right?
That is correct. Our advance amount the change was 50 crores. There was already some advance amount before. The change.
What is that number?
I do not think so. We have disclosed the exact number of how much we have given to the airline.
For FY21,
but the point is that it varies by the operator, it varies by the airline, and our numbers are what our numbers are, what you see on our financial.
Got it. So that would be like if you are
majority of the revenue which we get are coming from the airline. Some of it is coming from the hotels and some of it is coming from the bus operators. So these money is exactly what we are running from the airline.
So all the 5.2% that we made in Q1 FY22, what percentage would be from airlines? If you just give out that number.
So I'm sure that must be the part of the financials that you see. And I do not have that number handy with me on the immediate basis.
So what is the around 3%?
Sorry?
Would that 5.2%, the number that you have shown, revenue from operations for Q1 FY22, of that 5.2%, 2 or 3% will be coming from airlines?
Oh, no, actually we do not provide breakup of how exactly. See, when we are selling air tickets, there are 5 different ways by which we earn. It's not just the commissions from the airlines, right? One part is, of course, commissions from the airline. The second is incentives from the GDS. The third is the convenience fees. We do charge convenience fees whenever we are offering discount. The fourth part is basically the cancellation and cancellation fee. And the fifth part is basically incentives from credit cards and prepaid cards. All of them put together constitute our airline revenues, the revenues coming by selling air tickets. So, it's not to say that the entire 5.2% came as incentives from the airlines directly, right?
But the largest would be from the airlines, or would be convenience fee?
No, actually, no, they're actually very well split between the 5 line items.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir, it was just a follow-up on the previous participant's question. So if we would try to map the commission expense of the airline company vis-a-vis their revenue to sale and, try to look at our commissions, which is the basic first line item which you report, just the commission, which was at about 5%. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly is what I was saying. The 5.2% cannot be, we are not saying that all of it is coming from the airline. There are 5 line items which put together make our revenues.
So how much must be coming from airline in that, and how much is coming from the credit card or the payment gateway?
We do not provide the breakup of this. This is basically where our competitors and us, we try to keep that as something which is within the company, even if it is Milkmatrip, Yatra or us.
Okay. Sir, on the margin side, what is clearly visible is that, and you already initially commented that your costs are largely variable in nature. So I was just looking at your numbers since FY20. What is clearly visible is that your expense as a percentage of GBR is at about 3%. What has moved is basically your income, and within that the commissions, which moved from 3% GBR to about 5% last year, and in one of the quarter was at about 7%. So this 3 to 7 or 3 to 5 movement, or let's say the total income that you made as a percentage of GBR excluding the discounts. I'm removing the discounts because it is a revenue and then shown as an expense as well. So so even that number has moved from...
what you're trying to say is our expense as a percentage of GBR has increased.
Right. Your expense as a percentage of GBR stays at 3%, but it's your revenue which is at a percentage of GBR has moved higher, which gives you that extra profitability. So the sustenance of this revenue as a percentage of GBR and your comments on it. We understood the expense part.
No, actually there is more to understand in the expense part. In FY20, our GBR was 4,200 crores, right? But for this particular quarter, it is only 350 crores. Now, That is why the expense might look like 3%. But if the amount goes back, let's say in FY20, we did business of 1,200 crores in the last quarter, right? If this 350 crores goes to 1,200 crores, the employee expenses are not going to change, right? By much. I hope you get the point. There are a lot of things which probably will remain the same. The admin expenses are not going to change by much. So we have worked on all of these categories and have reduced them, and that is why it is still at 3%, even after having such low GBR.
I'll just intervene here. From the expense side, as a percentage of GBR, there is not much variation if you see across the quarter. Forget what happened this quarter. Quarter 4 last year, which was when you go back to your 1,000 crore GBR, the expense was 3% of GBR. FY20 also the expense was 3% of GBR. FY21 at that time where you were about 2,000 crore of about 2,100 crore of GBR. Even at that time you were at about 3% of GBR. So I don't see.
So what you're seeing probably, and maybe I don't have the FY20 numbers in front of me right now, so it's hard for me to comment. But what probably would have happened is for the last particular quarter, our marketing expenditures were slightly higher. It was at 18.5. I believe it was slightly on the higher side. which is probably what is shifting. If you look at the individual one, which could be the employee expenses or admin expenses, you will see a humongous amount of shift in percentage.
Right. My question was not on expense. I've understood what it is. My question is on the revenue side. There is a movement which has taken your revenue as a percentage of GBR higher from let's say 4.5-5% to about 6.5% or 7%. This extra 2% movement is what we see in the last 4 quarters. Do you see this 2% extra income as a percentage of GBR sustaining for us or not?
Yes.
I understood the expense part. I am very clear on it.
All right. So yes, as I have answered this question earlier, this is a status quo number for now, which hasn't changed since last 5 quarters. And we look forward to continuing with this. But again, I will want to reiterate the point that this company was profitable, very well profitable, even in FY20 numbers, right?
No doubt about it, sir.
Correct. So
no doubt about that.
So we look forward to enjoy the healthy margins we are getting right now, but we are not worried even if they go back. That is the point which we are trying to make.
No, I didn't understand it. We are even if they go back, I didn't understand what was that.
I'm saying the numbers are going since last 5 quarters. It is a status quo right now, so it is very hard for me to comment whether they are going to go away or not.
Okay, so at least the commissions part, or let's say the revenue as a percentage of GBR, you think it will sustain to FY21 what we have booked at. FY21 was still lower than what you have reported in quarter 4 or what you reported in quarter 1. So at least that.
It is a status quo right now. That is all I can say. It's a deal between 2 parties, right? And it has actually happened industry-wide. Even our competitors are enjoying better margins right now.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Venkat Samala from Tata Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, Prashant. Thanks for the follow-up. I'm just trying to understand with respect to our hotel segment, what would be the total inventory in terms of keys that would be totally available to our customers who would be booking through our website, and as a percentage of the pre-COVID levels, what would be the total inventory which would be active at this point in time?
Mm-hmm. So put together we have around 23 aggregators and direct relationship with about 7,000 odd hotels with whom we work with. And one good thing about EasyMart is even if we have direct relationship with the hotels, our prices still need to compete against the 23 aggregators we have. And whoever the price, that's the price which customer will see. So we want to keep our brand image of being a very cost-effective company out there in our customers' mind, and that is how we have designed our hotel business. Now, the inventory which we have, pre-COVID numbers I know, was at 1 million, while the industry leader also has something similar number as the inventory which is available for the hotel booking. The current number is something which we do not have. I do not have handy with me, simply because these numbers are also coming from our aggregator side. So they are very fluctuating as a number. But I believe that there will be some reduction in this number just because I would think that at least 10 to 15% hotels might not be operating right now.
Understood. And one last question would be the total revenue that we've booked in the hotel side this time is negative, which I'm assuming is because on a gross basis we did do a positive revenue, but then we would have doled out higher number of discounts and therefore a negative revenue that we are seeing. So how do you see the trajectory for that moving forward?
So for hotels, our thought process right now, our endeavor right now is to increase the number of bookings. And we want to do it at, right now we plan to continue doing that at a break-even level. The number which you are seeing is a very minuscule negative number. We want to continue growing this business at break-even till we start eating the lion's share in the hotel business. And then, it's basically an easy turn switch where we could reduce the discount and increase and continue to enjoy our hotel business. Right now, we are not spending money on marketing on hotels. Most of the hotel bookings which are coming, they are coming via cross-selling to the people who are booking flights on our portal.
Right. So put the other way, when do we expect this particular segment to sort of meaningfully contribute to our segmental profits?
You mean on the revenue side?
No. Revenue we are booking negative, right? Because as you said, we would be operating on a break-even level, right? So when do we expect to sort of hit?
Our commissions are somewhere around 10 to 12%, and that is the amount of discount which we are giving, and that is why it is at break-even stage right now.
Correct.
Is your question that when do we expect our discounts to go low or our commissions to go up so that we start generating profitable net revenues from hotels? Is that the question?
Yes.
To be honest, we are not extremely worried about that right now. Our flight business is extremely profitable. It's growing very rapidly. As I mentioned, even in quarter one, we have come closer to the industry leader by a bit. So we are not extremely worried about making money from all the particular domains, but we would at least want to remain at least at the break-even stage and continue growing the business.
Understood. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nalin Ladhiwala from Tata AIA. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Prashant. Just one quick question. When I look at your segmental reporting, I see that the segment assets for Air Passage segment appears to have gone up by roughly 44 crores. And this is quarter on quarter, meaning from March quarter to June quarter. And simultaneously, your unallocated assets have declined by around 40 odd crores. So if you could help us understand the two phenomena, are they related? What has caused the increase and what has caused the decrease in the other line item?
I would let Ashish ji take that question.
So, can you repeat your question?
So looking at
telling about unallocated.
So I'm looking at your segment assets. For Air Passage, segment assets have increased from 121.4 crores in the March quarter to 164.9 crores in this quarter. So there's a 44 crore increase. So question number one is, why is that? The other is, there is a 40 crore decline quarter on quarter in unallocated assets from 256.5 crores to 217 crores in this quarter. So if you can explain the increase and the decline.
Yeah, increase in Air Passage only because of increase in deposits with the airlines, where we are getting the better margin. That is why it has been increased.
Okay, so quarter on quarter, our gross booking revenue has actually declined in the Air Passage. So why would our deposit have increased?
No, for getting the better margin. This time we deposit more this quarter. So it has been increased.
So deposits are basically not fixed in nature, right? I mean, instead of giving them money 5 days in advance, we may have chosen to give them money 8 days in advance.
Okay, so it's not
get better margin.
The gross booking revenue in the trailing 10 days. It is basically a number which is forward looking and therefore negotiated between the two parties.
Right.
Yeah. And could you also explain the decline in unallocated assets?
Yeah, decline basically there is a reduction in FDR which has not been allocated with the segment. And since we have given the dividend this time and we have deposited more to the airline, that's why there is a decrease in FDR. So that is the reason.
Okay. Sorry, your voice was a little unclear. What you're saying is this is because of the
unallocated assets, therefore the other assets which can't be allocated to the segment, which comprise on majorly FDR. So there is a decline in FDR this time because we paid dividend and we gave extra deposit to the airline.
Okay. Got that. By FDR, you basically mean the treasury that you maintain.
Yeah. Wherever we get the better chance to get better return, we will do it. We will follow.
Got that. Fair enough. The other was basically just a suggestion, if you can, on a quarter by quarter basis, take out the gross booking revenue across the three segments. That will be very helpful. Most of your competitors also do that. Yeah, that will allow us to track the progress across the three segments. Yeah, so that's just
no that one.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, that was the last question for today. I would now like to hand over the conference over to Mr. Prashant Sethi for closing comments.
Thank you. Well, to conclude, I would like to highlight that with huge runway for growth, increasing wallet share from existing customers from hotel and holiday segment, adding new customers, and operating efficiency, we believe we are well positioned to capitalize on the growth opportunities and increase profitability in the future. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope we have been able to answer all your queries. In case if you require any further details, you may please contact us or Orient Capital, our investor relationship partners. Thank you everybody.
Thank you. On behalf of Easy Trip Planners Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.